Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I've always been an animal lover. Our house was a constant zoo of rescued strays and foster pets. My parents supported my passion, but as I got older, I could tell my dad was getting tired of the chaos. When I moved out for college, I promised myself I'd create a home that was a haven for both humans and animals. Fast forward a few years and I've done just that. I've got a spacious house in a friendly neighborhood, complete with a big backyard. I work from home as a freelance graphic designer, which gives me the flexibility to take care of my own pets and frequently pet sit for friends and neighbors. My house is always full of life, just the way I like it. My parents live about an 8-hour drive away, so I don't see them as often as I'd like. Usually it's just a few times a year. Don't get me wrong, I love them both, but sometimes their visits can be challenging, especially when it comes to my dad. So imagine my surprise when my mom called out of the blue one day. "Hey sweetie, I've got some great news. I have 2 conferences near you this month. I was hoping I could stay with you instead of the hotel. It would be so nice to spend some time together." "Oh wow, that's great, Mom. When exactly are these conferences?" "The first one starts next week, and the second is at the end of the month." I'll admit, I was a bit taken aback. It was pretty short notice and I already had commitments. "That's awesome, Mom. I'd love to have you stay. Just so you know, I'm pet sitting next week, and a friend is staying over with her dog too. Is that okay?" "Of course, honey. You know I love animals. The more the merrier." I breathed a sigh of relief. My mom has always been pretty easygoing, unlike my dad. Speaking of which, oh, and your father wants to come during my second conference. He misses you too. Great. Don't get me wrong, I love my dad, but he can a bit particular. The week of my mom's first visit arrived, and it was chaos in the best possible way. We had 4 humans, 4 large dogs, and 3 cats in the house. My mom was in her element, laughing and playing with the animals, catching up with my friend, and generally having a ball. One evening, a few of my girlfriends from the neighborhood showed up unannounced for impromptu cocktails. I was a bit worried about how my mom would react, but I needn't have been. "Oh, how wonderful. I love surprises like this. Your father hates unexpected company, but I think it's delightful." We had a great time and I was sad to see everyone go when the week ended. But I knew I had another visit to look forward to at the end of the month. A few days after everyone left, I got a call from my dad. I should have known something was up when he said he wanted to have a serious talk. "I heard about the zoo you were running while your mother was there." "Yeah, it was fun. Mom seemed to enjoy it." "Well, I want to make something clear. You'll not be inviting every dog and person in the neighborhood over when I stay there." I was stunned. Who did he think he was to dictate what I could do in my own home? "Dad, I appreciate your concern, but..." "No buts. I'm coming to spend time with you, not to be surrounded by menagerie." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. "Dad, I understand you want quality time and we'll have that. But this is my house, and I'm an adult. I can invite whoever I want over." "Now listen here." "No, Dad, you listen. You invited yourself over with little notice. I'm happy to have you, but that means I might already have plans. The pet sitting was arranged before I even knew Mom was coming. By the way, Mom has stayed with me when I've been sitting for dogs before. She loves it." "That's different. Your mother is..." "It's not different, Dad. You don't get to dictate who and what is at my home. I love you and I want you to visit, but you need to understand that this is my space." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "I see. Well, I suppose we'll discuss this further when I arrive." "Sure, Dad. And just so you know, my best friend is probably going to stop by with her dog one night. You know, the one you always say is so well behaved." I could practically hear him grinding his teeth. "Fine. We'll see you in a couple of weeks." After I hung up, I couldn't help but laugh. The audacity of my father thinking he could control my household from 8 hours away was just too much. I decided then and there that I wasn't going to let his attitude ruin our visit. When the time for his visit finally rolled around, I made sure to have everything set up just the way he likes it. His favorite foods in the fridge, the guest room arranged for his preferences, but I also didn't change my plans. The first night he was there, right on cue, my best friend showed up with her dog. "Hey, hope you don't mind us dropping by." Not at all. Come on in. I saw my dad's face tighten, but then a dog bounded up to him, tail wagging. Despite himself, I saw a smile creep onto his face as he reached down to pet the excited pup. Well, hello there. Aren't you a good boy? As the evening wore on, I could see my dad relaxing. My friend regaled us with funny stories, and even Dad was chuckling. By the time they left, he seemed to have forgotten all about his earlier objections. The rest of the visit went smoothly. We had quiet nights in, but also a few spontaneous gatherings with neighbors and friends. And to my surprise, Dad started to enjoy the unpredictability of it all. On his last night, he turned to me with a sheepish look. You know, I owe you an apology. I was out of line trying to tell you how to run your home. This visit, it's been nice. Different from what I'm used to, but nice. I smiled and patted his hand. Thanks, Dad. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You're always welcome here, you and all the chaos that comes with my life. He chuckled and nodded, and we sat in comfortable silence as the sky turned from orange to purple. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation or a big blow up, but in that moment I felt like we'd reached a new understanding. My house, my rules, but there was always room for family, friends, and a few furry companions too. I've been working at this tech company for about 5 years now. When I first started, I was excited about the opportunity. The company had a great reputation, and I thought it would be a fantastic place to grow my career. Little did I know that one person would make my life a living hell. It all started when I noticed something odd in the parking lot. There was this fancy sports car always parked in one of the handicapped spots. At first, I thought it might belong to a client or maybe even the CEO. But no, it turned out to be our department manager's car. I remember the first time I saw her pull into that spot. She got out of her car, perfectly able bodied, and strutted into the building like she owned the place. I was shocked. I mean, who does that? I decided to talk to her about it, and that was a big mistake. Excuse me? I noticed you parked in a handicapped spot. Are you aware that it's reserved for people with disabilities? She looked at me like I just insulted her entire family. And who exactly are you to question where I park? I'm just concerned. What if someone who actually needs that spot comes along? Listen here, I'm the manager of this department. I can park wherever I want. If you have a problem with that, maybe you should reconsider your position here. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But that was just the beginning. Over the next few months, I watched as she continued to park in that spot every single day. What made it worse was that we had a couple of co-workers who actually needed these spots. There was this guy in accounting who used a wheelchair, and a woman in marketing who had a chronic condition that made walking difficult. They would often have to park far away because all the handicap spots were taken. I wasn't the only one who noticed. Other co-workers were talking about it too, but everyone was too scared to say anything. We all knew what happened to people who crossed her. There was this one time when a new hire, fresh out of college, decided to report her to human resources. Poor kid. He was fired within a week for poor performance. We all knew the real reason. As time went on, her behavior got worse. She started making snide comments about our co-workers with disabilities. Once, during a team meeting, she made a joke about our colleague in a wheelchair, saying he was just sitting around all day. Nobody laughed, but nobody said anything either. I tried to stand up for my coworkers when I could, but it was hard. Every time I did, I'd end up with the worst assignments or get passed over for promotions. But I couldn't just sit back and watch her treat people like that. One day, I decided I'd had enough. I gathered evidence of her parking violations, recorded her inappropriate comments, and even got statements from co-workers who were willing to speak up anonymously. I put together a comprehensive report and sent it to the CEO and a board of directors. 4 weeks, nothing happened. I was starting to think my report had been ignored or buried. Then one Friday evening, everything changed. I was working late, finishing up a project, when I heard a commotion outside. I looked at the window and saw flashing lights. There had been an accident right outside our office building. As I got closer, I recognized the mangled sports car. It was hers. Apparently, she had been at a company event, had too much to drink, and decided to drive anyway. She had crushed into a concrete barrier at high speed. The next few weeks were a blur. We found out that the manager had suffered a spinal cord injury in the accident. She was paralyzed from the waist down. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. When she finally returned to work months later, things were different. She now legitimately needed the handicap parking spot she had abused for so long. But more than that, her whole demeanor had changed. She seemed lost, unfocused. In meetings, she struggled to keep up with discussions. Her work, which had always been top notch before, at least on paper, started to slip. Projects were falling behind, clients were complaining, and our department's performance was tanking. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. And then I remembered all the people she had hurt, all the careers she had derailed, and all the pain she had caused. It wasn't long before upper management started to notice. They couldn't ignore the decline in our department's performance. Clients were leaving and the company was losing money. Something had to give. About 6 months after her return, we all got called into a big meeting. The CEO was there along with the head of human resources, and they announced that due to the department's poor performance, they were making some changes. Our manager was being let go. As she was wheeled out of the conference room, I caught her eye. For a moment, I saw a flicker of the old her, angry, entitled, ready to lash out. But then it faded, replaced by something I'd never seen in her before: defeat. After she left, the CEO asked to speak with me privately. It turned out that my report hadn't been ignored after all. They had been investigating quietly, building a case. The accident had accelerated things, but they had already been planning to make changes. We want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. It took a lot of courage to stand up for what's right. I just couldn't stand by and watch anymore. We understand. We'd like to offer you a promotion. We need someone with your integrity to lead the department. I was speechless. After years of feeling powerless, of watching good people get hurt, things were finally changing. I accepted the position on one condition: that we implement a comprehensive sensitivity training program for all employees, focusing on treating people with disabilities with respect and dignity. As I walked back to my desk that day, I passed by the handicap parking spots. They were all filled, but this time by the people who truly needed them. It had been a long, hard road, but finally, things were as they should be. In my new role, I made it my mission to create a workplace where everyone felt valued and respected, regardless of their abilities or disabilities. We implemented new policies, improved accessibility throughout the office, and fostered an environment of inclusion. As for our former manager, I heard she eventually found a job at a smaller company. I hope she learned something from her experience. I know I did. I've always been into fitness, but when the gyms closed down, I realized I needed to set up home gym if I wanted to keep up with my routine. The problem was everyone else had the same idea. Suddenly, home gym equipment became as scarce as toilet paper. I spent weeks trying to get my hands on a decent weight set. Every time I went to the local sporting goods store, they were sold out. It was frustrating, but I understood. What I couldn't understand, though, was vultures who were buying up all the equipment just to resell it at ridiculous markups. One day, I was scrolling through Craigslist, hoping to find a reasonably priced set of weights. And that's when I saw it. The exact set I've been trying to buy from the sporting goods store. It was a 300-pound set with an Olympic bar, originally priced at $250. This guy was selling it for $850. He even had the audacity to post a picture of the set still in a shopping cart at the store. I was furious. Here we were in the middle of a pandemic, and this guy was trying to make a quick buck off people who just wanted to stay healthy. Before I knew it, I was firing off an angry message. Why are you trying to rip people off? Get a real job instead of price gouging during a pandemic. The guy's response came quickly and was just as angry. Screw off. If you don't like it, go lift bricks or buy your own set for $250. His response only made me angrier. But then I had an idea. A petty, time-wasting idea that will probably accomplish nothing but make me feel a little better. I created a new email address and responded to the ad again, this time pretending to be an interested buyer. Hi, I'm interested in a weight set. Could we meet somewhere? I'd like to take a look before buying. Sure. I get off work at 4. I'll need to load the weights into my truck. What's your phone number? I knew I had to be careful here. I didn't want to give him any real information about myself. I'll send you my number closer to 4 p.m. Where will be a good place to meet? We agreed on a mall parking lot about 25 minutes from where he was located. It was close to me, which was convenient, but I knew it would be a decent drive for him. As 4 p.m. approached, I kept stringing him along. I'm running 15 to 20 minutes late, but I'm on my way. What kind of car should I look for? He described his SUV and I felt a little thrill knowing that I'd be able to spot him easily. When I drove by the parking lot, I saw him standing there, hatch open, with a 300-pound box of weights and the Olympic bar clearly visible. I knew it was time to end this little game. I sent one final email. Hey, sorry, I drove by the sporting goods store on the way and just found the same set you're selling on sale for $250. I imagined his face when he read that message. Would he be angry? Embarrassed? Would he realize how ridiculous it was to try and make such a huge profit off someone else's desperation? I never did get my weight set that day, but I did get a story to tell. And in those long, isolated days of the lockdown, sometimes a good story was worth just as much as a set of weights. I always felt like an outsider in my own family. My biological dad took off when I was just 4, leaving me with a mom who seemed more interested in her new life than her firstborn. She remarried and soon I had 2 half siblings. My stepdad wasn't cruel, but he made it crystal clear that I wasn't his kid. I was just there. I tried to convince myself it wasn't that bad, but deep down I knew the truth. The final blow came after my freshman year of college. I'll never forget that phone call. Mom says, "Hi, sweetie. How's college?" "It's good, Mom. I'm looking forward to coming home for the summer." "About that, I think it's best if you don't come home anymore." "What? Why?" "It's just, it's better this way. You're an adult now. You should start your own life." Wow, all those years of feeling unwanted and now it was confirmed. I hung up, blocked her number, and cut ties with everyone except my half sister. She was the only one who seemed to care. For years, I struggled with the pain of rejection. I threw myself into my studies, then my career. I became fiercely independent, building a life for myself brick by brick. I thought I'd always be alone, but then I met her. My fiancée swept into my life like a breath of fresh air. For the first time, I felt truly accepted and loved. Her family welcomed me with open arms, giving me a taste of what I'd missed all those years. I opened up to her about my past, and she seemed understanding. Or so I thought. As we started planning our wedding, cracks began to appear. "It started innocently enough," fiancé says. "So, who are you thinking of inviting from your side?" "Just some college friends and co-workers." "What about your parents?" "I'm not inviting them." "Are you sure? It's a big day." I explained the reasons, hoping she'd understand, but she kept bringing it up again and again. Each time I patiently re-explained my position, until last night. "Are you sure you don't want to invite your parents?" "I feel like I might just invite them on my side." Something in me snapped. All the pain, all the rejection, it all came flooding back. "You know what? Maybe we should just throw away all the invitations. If you can't respect what I've been through, I don't want to marry you." I stormed off to our bedroom, my mind racing. As she tried to follow, I grabbed my keys and left. I needed space, time to think. I ended up at a friend's place venting my frustrations. "Man, that's rough. But are you sure you want to throw away your relationship over this?" "I don't know, man. I love her. But this? It feels like betrayal." "Have you told her exactly how much this hurts you?" I realized I hadn't. I'd explained the facts, but not the depth of my pain. When I got home, I found her awake, waiting for me. She says, "Can we talk?" "Yeah, I think we need to." I took a deep breath and laid it all out. The years of feeling unwanted, the crushing pain of being discarded, the struggle to build myself back up. As I spoke, I saw understanding dawn in her eyes. "I am so sorry. I had no idea it ran this deep. I thought I was helping, giving you a chance to reconnect. But I see now how wrong I was. I appreciate that you were trying to help, but this isn't something that can be fixed with a wedding invitation. They made their choice a long time ago. You're right. I won't bring it up again. This is your wedding too. It should be filled with people who love and support you." We talked long into the night, clearing the air and reaffirming our commitment to each other. In the end, we decided to move forward with the wedding, but with a renewed understanding and respect for each other's boundaries. Our guest list was filled with people who truly cared about us, who had been there through thick and thin. As I sealed the last envelope, I realized something profound. I didn't need my biological family to feel whole. I have built my own family, one of choice rather than blood, and it was more than enough. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.